known the thing would be so unwieldy to manoeuvre. So, here she was, once again, without a job or purpose in her life. The sound of Tim's key in the door gave Pip a little flutter of pleasure. Her flatmate's appearance even more so, although he looked pale and tired after a long day at work. His nice blue cotton shirt, Pip's personal favourite, was rumpled, with a small stain on the pocket. Possibly coffee, thought Pip, who was finding it hard to give up on the idea that she was a detective. "How are the kids this evening?" Tim asked, bending down to inspect the bundle of cats. It was a little joke between them, that they were the parents and the kittens were their kids. It was funny, but squeezed Pip's heart a little. When would she be in a real relationship? Maybe even one with long-term potential. "They're in fine fettle. Most is a really good mum, isn't he?" "He really is." "Not many blokes are so devoted. Or manage to feed their young so well." Another little joke between them. The three-legged cat had been a male, until, of course, a bellyful of kittens had proved otherwise. Pip's relationship with Tim was a bit strange. Their conversation had recently taken on the air of a comfortable couple, but there hadn't been any coupling, so to speak. They were just roomies with a bit of a tingle between them. "You look as tired as I feel," said Pip. "I've just been sitting here on the floor with the cats, too exhausted to move." "Thank God it's Friday. It's been a long day for me. A long week," said Tim. "We've been working on this job, trying to hack into a particular system that was—" Thereafter, a lot of technical muttering floated by Pip. Firewall, server. Once Tim got going on computery stuff, it was best to just nod and wait until he'd finished. His recent revelation that he actually worked as a hacker, but for the goodies, he claimed, had had the unfortunate effect that he, no longer trying to keep his profession a secret, shared his work with her in mind-numbingly tedious detail. Pip picked up a sleepy kitten in each hand and popped one on each shoulder, their little wet noses pressed into her neck. "Look, epaulets," she said, which made Tim laugh and lose track of whatever he'd been saying about phishing and encryption. "So, how was your job search?" he asked, looking at her fondly. Or Pip hoped it was fondly. Tim was also her landlord, so his interest in her job search wasn't exactly entirely altruistic. "I don't understand how someone who stands out like you isn't snapped up immediately," he added, with a twinkle in his eye. That was another thing about Tim. He had this odd way of maybe flirting that confused and flustered her. Did he mean she was noticeable for being attractive? Or for being an awkwardly tall person with odd mannerisms? Or perhaps for some other, even worse attribute that she was unaware of? "I'm trying," she said with a sigh. Well, it wasn't entirely a lie. She'd even got up the courage to phone Sharon at the temp agency today, although when Sharon had heard her name, she had started screaming something about the cat and Boston investigations, and then slammed down the phone. Pip had a sneaking suspicion that this kind of thing happened to her more than it happened to other people. "You've had some bad luck, Pip, but you'll get there. I know you will." And with that, Tim disappeared into his own room. She'd get there. But where was there? And how would she even start? She looked down at the kittens for inspiration, but they seemed fresh out of ideas too. Chapter 2. Pip surveyed what was indeed a very fine costume on an admittedly very buff, bare-chested mannequin, and turned to her sister. This gladiator get-up would be just the thing for a young man trying to make an impression down at the pub. "Oh, he'd get noticed all right," said Flick.